So let me bring to the show my next guest this morning, Nakhle, CEO, Crystol Energy. Good morning, Carol, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Alex. Thank you for having me with you today.
So, Carol, I'd like to kick off with the supply chain issues. What kind of impact do you expect when it comes to supply chain and certainly the crude oil market supply?
I mean, for the supply chain in general, because you have around 12% of global shipping, commercial trade going through the Suez Canal. So you would expect immediately like delays, and delays would translate into all sorts of additional costs, such as shipping rate costs, because you don't have many ships arriving on time to empty and then go back to the next client, for example, or the next person was going to rent them to do something else. You have, as a result, also an increase in cost in insurance and claims for insurance for delays. You have a congestion at that canal, which means that once the canal opens, we're going to have several ships arriving at the same time to their destination, and that creates further logistical problems. And all this translates with higher cost, slower delivery, and of course, at the end will be higher prices down the line. Now, you mentioned earlier the increase in price and oil prices. That has some element that reflect the crisis in the Suez Canal.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Then on the other side, we've heard from many economists, and they're suggesting that the ECB in particular, also probably a little bit of Fed, kind of underestimated the spike in crude oil prices. What kind of impact on inflation do you expect if these prices were about to continue to raise?
Mind you, only I think a week ago, we're talking about prices for Brent at least nearly hitting or briefly exceeding $70 a barrel. And that raised all sorts of concerns, but prices declined significantly then, I think, by more than 13%. Yesterday, we're seeing upward pressure on prices, but they are well below what we saw last week. So overall, yes, if we look in the longer term outlook, we can see that there are definitely fears and concerns about inflation. They were more tamed at the beginning of the year or towards the end of last year, but now they are becoming more and more pronounced, and we can see the market quite nervous and maybe not buying quite what the chairmen and presidents of central banks are saying, whether in Europe or in North America. So the outcome is today greater volatility than only a few months ago. But again, I would add to this increase in volatility, OPEC strategy or OPEC plus, I would say, policy making or decision making with respect to their output, because they shifted from last year of having a clear schedule for the next 2 years, from April 2020 to April 2022, with clear days, how much they would relax their cuts, etc. And then they shifted towards the end of last year to reviewing the market on a monthly by monthly basis. And some people would say that this will give the organization or the producers group more flexibility. I see it more as creating more opacity and contributing to the volatility we're seeing in the market.
And where do you see the crude oil price within 12 months?
Honestly, nobody knows. And if somebody gets it right, it's by pure luck and pure coincidence. And the reason why I'm saying that, we can have an idea about the direction of the market. So definitely we turned the dark page on the phase that we had last year, right? So we're heading in this kind of direction. But mind you, last year were more than 6 months with prices stuck in a very limited range, hovering around $45 a barrel. And then they increased to a higher range. Whether they will increase further towards of the end of the year, yes. So because we're going to see probably, demand getting stronger, the vaccination rollout spreading much faster than what we're seeing here. I mean, now here I'm sitting in Europe, and it's really a mess in terms of the slow rollout of vaccination. So that kind of affected negatively expectations towards the pickup in demand in the summer for traveling, for example. But hopefully towards the end of the year, governments will get their acts together, and the rollout of vaccination will also be more in control, more promising, not just in Europe or North America, but elsewhere as well. And that supports like the current trend we're seeing in prices towards high. Whether that means that prices will continue relentlessly climbing, I doubt, because you have to bring to the equation the supply side. And here you have to think about the shale industry in the US. Remember that last year many people said that the shale industry was dead, was over. Now they are saying that by how much shale production can rebound by the end of the year. And already the surveys done in the industry in the US is reflecting a more positive mood and greater confidence than what we had last year. So on balance, we cannot only look at the demand recovery and then you add to that OPEC plus, how much they are going to put in the market. So therefore, I am more on the cautious side when it comes to prices towards the end of the year. So we have the positive trend, but it doesn't mean we're going to jump to massive figures that are being traded or discussed by particularly banking institutions.
Right, it's pretty interesting topic. By the way, you said it very well. The vaccine rollout here in Europe has been a huge mess so far. Though we did see the EU, by the way, stepping up tough rules on the exports since yesterday. I was wondering which are the main drivers for the crude oil price right now, because from one side we have the COVID situation in traveling in Europe, which is kind of stuck. We can say the same for the US though. On the other side we have the China factor, and on the other side we have also OPEC plus. So what matters the most at this point?
In my opinion, with the prices they are where they are today, largely I think most of the credit goes to OPEC plus, because you have more than 8 million barrels a day that are being put out of the market, and that is massive. You see, so that for me, this is the main card that has influenced the prices where they are today. And actually, you can look at since even 2014 when prices declined, and then OPEC plus came together December 2016. They did a pretty good job in terms of putting upward pressure on prices and putting a floor to prices. And they are doing even a much better job today. Few people expected them to be so dedicated to their discipline. Of course, you have their leader, Saudi Arabia, is playing a very important role in maintaining the coherence of the group. Add to that the recovery in demand. And again, we're talking about recovery. I have to be careful when I put growth numbers and rates, because you're starting from a low base from last year, massive dip. So we're not at the pre-COVID levels yet, and I doubt we're going to be at those levels before at least the end of the year and maybe well into 2022. So therefore, most of the credit goes to OPEC plus. The demand outlook, you mentioned all these positive factors, absolutely, but there are also equally important negative factors, because yes, China is doing well, but India, the spread of the coronavirus is growing rapidly in other developing countries as well. And again, the economic outlook may be bright for, let's say, in Asia for China, in North America with the US, but here in Europe, people are already talking about a third wave of coronavirus infection. So that, and you're talking about the biggest economic bloc in the world. So that is going to weigh down on the economic growth. This doesn't mean that we're going to see a U-turn in terms of economic outlook and economic growth. We're heading in the right direction. The train has already left the station, but it can raise question mark in terms of how much further we can expect recovery to happen by the end of the year.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. Carol Nakhle, CEO, Crystol Energy. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great weekend.
You too.